sir. Yep. No problem.
Good afternoon and welcome to the band's spring concert. We're so glad you joined us today. The first group we have performing today also volunteered, or got here early to volunteer to help set everything up, and we are thankful for that, is the Smith Station High School Concert Band. And we this afternoon we have some selections that we've been working on that we will perform for you today. And the first one we're going to start out with is Into the Clouds. During that song, there were two solos that were featured. One was our senior flute player, Haley Thompson, and Emily Turner, our oboe player. Typically, what we like to do as well during the spring is we do lots of recognition of different students throughout different venues and different events. Last night was our band awards, and we had many students who got awards for different events, different honors, different things that they've done. A big part of going through our program are having seniors who stay with us the entire time. It's a unique group of students who choose to stay with us and who put up with us, and we hope that when they come out on the other end of it, they are better off. We have 3 seniors in this group that we'd like to recognize. One of them is on percussion, Hunter Smith. Another one is our flute player, Haley Thompson. And then another percussionist, Mr. Tristan Smith. The next song we will perform for you is going to be Cumberland Cross. This song allows the group to start out in a more chorale-like setting where they are aiming to play lyrical, put lots of air in their instruments, make sure they are watching up and making sure they are focusing as a group to stay together. And then it goes into a little bit more of a Western feel to it, some different things, different percussion sounds we have going in the back. Some of them you'll see that they'll enjoy and they'll play pretty loud throughout it. The next selection we'll play for you will be Cumberland Cross. The next selection that we'll play for you this afternoon is going to be one of the selections that the students worked on for State Music Performance Assessment. Each year, our bands go as bands to across the state to a state assessment where they prepare 3 pieces of music and they perform it for judges. They also sight read. With this year, with everything going on, they transitioned that and they made that into a virtual event where you only submitted recordings ahead of time. So this year, the students worked on 3 pieces and we're going to showcase the opener from that piece. Before we showcase that, one of the things I want to acknowledge from this group and then every other group is the results that they got were the highest ratings you could get at state assessment, which were straight superiors from all 3 judges. So that's a huge congratulations. And another thing for our entire program, as I went through last night, if you were with us, please forgive me for repeating this as well, is all of our groups that performed at state assessment this year all received straight superiors. And one of the things that we get accustomed to sometimes here is that superiors are something that we have been fortunate that we've had the students who have worked hard to get those, but that is not simply the case everywhere. We have students who are working hard, and we have been able to, for 3 years now, have bands who have received straight superiors at state assessment. There are not many bands around the state that have done that, and I can tell you for sure there are not any bands within a 50-mile radius that have taken multiple bands that have received straight superiors for that amount of time. So that's a big deal, and that's all from their hard work that they have done and completed through. So that's another big congratulations to them as well. One of the song we're going to start out with is Aces of the Air March. It's a traditional march that starts out. This one is by Carl King, I believe. Yes. And one of the things throughout this song is every different group has a different section, kind of where they're featured, and not necessarily always the melody, maybe a counter melody. The melody's what you'll hopefully leave out of here humming a little bit throughout the day. But throughout this song, every section is featured. We're going to do it a little bit different than we recorded on the tape that was submitted for state assessment. We wouldn't have done this for the judges, but you'll see they're going to do a little bit different so that you can see who is supposed to be the focus in that point, and hopefully at that point they're going to be backing it up with sound too. So here is Aces of the Air, a little bit different than we did for state assessment. The next piece of music we'll play in our final piece is called Mekong, and I will I want to share a few things about this piece before we get started. But how about another round of applause for these students? We here at Smith Station as well, we are very fortunate to have great support amongst our administration at all the schools and from the county. So we are very thankful for our administration who works well with us to make everything possible and everything happen for these students and continue to provide opportunities for these students. As well as throughout our program, we have, I'm very fortunate that we have 3 directors here who are able to work with the students from 7th through 12th grade. As they go through our program, we all get a chance to work with them and see them grow, which is a special thing. I want to take a moment to thank Ms. Belinda Wright and Mr. Sean Geiger. Mekong, and excuse me, I'm going to read and kind of paraphrase and explain this piece. Mekong is a piece that is it's a very challenging piece for a group of for a concert band group to perform. These in length, it's probably about 8 minutes or so, somewhere depending on the tempos we choose to take and not take, and how fast we go and not watch. All that'll play into how long it actually works out to be. But somewhere in that nature, it is a very long piece. You'll hear throughout the piece that there are lots of technical passages played by different instruments, and when you play a piece of this nature and this difficulty, the individual players in the group have a really important role to play. So this is a song that we kind of took out one day, and I was just going to take a moment, kind of challenge, and we're going to work through parts of it for the day with no intention of playing it, but the students just really enjoyed working on the piece that day, and so they took on the challenge of working on this piece, going through it, putting it all together. And really this piece too, more so than a start, stop, there's a lot of rehearsal that has to go in because we have to explain how things work, why in the world we have water fountains up front, and just all this different things throughout it. So this is a piece that I'm proud that they have chosen to work on and that we've worked up. And the piece itself has a backstory that we talked about and went over. And Mekong was written by Robert W. Smith, and it is based on the American involvement in the Vietnam War. There are several things that you'll hear throughout this piece. A lot of it is based off of the Mekong River and the Delta. At the beginning of the piece, you'll hear the water sounds, and you can imagine being in Vietnam, a child playing a flute along the Mekong River, and you can just the peacefulness of that happening. And then the next thing that you will hear throughout it are the F-4 fighter jets that are coming into Vietnam, and then the war that takes place. There are different times throughout there during the Vietnam War where Agent Orange was used, and you'll hear different explosions that will happen throughout the piece. So looking for those as well. In the middle of the piece, there's a sense of calm and a sense of going back to the river as the peacefulness of everything before the end of the piece, where you hear the helicopters will start to come back in this as well. Throughout the song, there is the flute solo that will take place is a new composition, we're going blank on there, but it's an original composition. There we go. There's a saxophone solo that happens in the middle that you'll hear, and it is a Vietnamese folk song entitled "The Wounded Soldier." And so a lot at the end, we start at the beginning at the river, go into a battle, then we go to the calming of the piece, but singing about the wounded soldier. Then it goes into, again, the battle with the helicopters coming back in. And then at the end, what you'll hear is, again, going back to the war, yet you'll hear the haunting sounds of the flute still at the river, but you'll hear the wounded soldier folk song still being played even after the war is taking place through this. So we hope that you enjoy, and hopefully that helps give you a little bit of understanding as you go through and you're listening to the students play Mekong. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sitting right behind you. I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I was trying to. Really? Okay.